Welcome to Your Ultimate Life podcast, where we help you break free from mediocrity and create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Get your free video series at yourultimatelife.ca.
Welcome to Your Ultimate Life. I've got a fun picture in the background. I hope you're looking at the video. You know, I say that all the time. I pick these video backgrounds because I think they're fun, and they also illustrate something about the topic for the day. So I've got this weird background that's kind of a surrealistic chessboard, and there's a cat playing chess, right? Kitty cat playing chess. I have like 6 or 7 of these that I had the AI create that were kind of fun. But I put this up here because today's topic is how to change the game. How to change the game. Now, we just finished with the first part of the Olympic Games, the regular Olympics. The Paralympics start in about 2 weeks, I think, on the 28th of August, and I'm excited about that. That'll be interesting. And I didn't sit and watch like many hours, but I did watch a lot of different pieces of competition of all kinds of different sports. I noticed several things. One, I noticed that they showed a lot more women's sports this year. And at the closing ceremonies, they talked about gender parity, meaning they had as many women's sports as men this time. I think it's fabulous. Some of the greatest stories that I have heard certainly are about women, their dedication, devotion, comebackness, stick-to-itiveness. Some of the women swimmers, Summer McIntosh, yay for Canada, because that's where I live right now, although I'm both Canadian and U.S. 17 years old, won, I think, 3 gold medals and another silver. 17. Imagine how that's going to affect the trajectory of your life. Katie Ledecky won the 800-meter, 16 laps. I can't even imagine doing that. But the 800-meter freestyle women's event for the 4th Olympics in a row, unbelievable. That's 12 years, 2012, 16, 20, 24. It's only 12 years, even though they're 4 years apart, because the first one, of course, is year 0. But anyway, and more, all kinds of women performing amazing things. And I noticed a funny thing in sprinters, track runners, the women, many, not all, but many of them had big, long fingernails and ornate things like that. I guess that's a bit of showboating, and I guess the men do it too, just not with long fingernails. Or at least I didn't see any. Anyway, the Olympic Games is part pageantry. That was fabulous. I saw funny, Russia put out a comment that the closing ceremony, that dude that was dressed in that weird gold, I don't know if it's even a dude or a gal, couldn't see, weird gold costume with pointy things all over, obvious Satanism. Well, I watched not every minute of the closing ceremony, but about 2/3 of it. That never even crossed my mind that somehow was a representation of the devil in the gold costume, whatever. Anyway, here's the reason I talk about how to change the game. The Olympics per se have been changed. They add sports, they drop sports. The breaking that took place, that breakdance competition, the Phil Wizard from Canada won gold medal. I guess that's going to be the only one. It's been dropped from the Summer Games 2028. Now, I don't know what criteria they use to add and drop games. They've added flag football and some other things to the 28 games, and they dropped breaking and something else. And I thought that was too bad. I didn't watch a ton of that either. I did watch the final between that French guy and the Canadian guy, and the Canadian guy won. Yeah. And I watched them both do the routines, and to me, it was better. There was no question in my mind who deserved to win. Maybe the difficulty in judging, maybe they just thought it, I don't know. I don't know the criteria, but it's gone for 2028. Which I thought was too bad. I really enjoyed it, and giving it a one-time run as a provisional sport seemed a little short-sighted, but whatever. Changed the game, right? We changed the experience by broadcasting a lot more women's events and focusing on women's stories to bring gender parity to the equation, which is true and good and should have happened before. Many things in our world used to be male dominated, and now have been great strides, and it's certainly not done, but toward recognizing the awesome contribution and bringing them up to parity. One of the things I have trouble with about that is making them equal, because men and women physiologically aren't equal. But parity is absolutely right. And they recognize that because they have, women's events and men's events. And cross-pollinating those is not very effective. Although I did notice another change. They brought in a lot of mixed events, which I thought were really cool. They had mixed swimming, relays, individual, not individual, but the medley with the 4 strokes, 2 women, 2 men. I really enjoyed that. And they had some track events that were that way too. Now, I thought that was good. That was really cool. So anyway, so they changed the game. Great. They're changing a lot by bringing the Paralympics forward and making more and more out of those. I think that's August 28th, September 8th, which is going to have been about 3 weeks after the close of the other. And that's enough space to have a good reset. And I hope they have a spectacular turnout and acknowledge those people because it's just as much dedication, maybe more difficult because of the obvious challenges faced by different groups of people. And they deserve the recognition, the medals, and the honor that come from competing on a world stage, winning, and so forth. I have had some interesting questions, like how different, like there's different levels of disability or different levels of ways people are affected by certain conditions, and I have wondered how you decide, like what constitutes enough of a thing to get into the Paralympics. Like how busted do you have to be? Do they have different categories of bustedness? Because it seems like someone that was only a little bit affected would have a huge advantage. And maybe because I don't know enough about it, what I'm saying doesn't even make sense. I don't know. But the fact is it's being honored and brought forward, and I think that's great, even louder than last year. I realize they had them other years, but, made louder, brought more front and center, more attention, more money, more publicity, more support. Good for all that. Now, this podcast is about creating your ultimate life. It's about creating a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. I've talked about the triple helix. And people, I get asked this all the time. How do I find my life purpose? Well, you go look for it. You don't go on a safari and try to dig it up in the backyard. You don't go on Amazon and try to order it to come in a box. You search your life, right? You search your life, your gifts, the skills you've already developed, and your life experience. The life experience, the things that have happened to you that you've overcome, is the most fertile soil for you to look in to find your life purpose. The challenges, the difficulties, the struggles, the setbacks, the handicaps, if you had some, the home you were raised in, the environment, the poverty, the drugs, addiction, the ripoffs, the abuse, whatever happened to you is your most fertile ground for changing your game. Now, I don't know where you are in your life game right now. I don't know how much money you make. I don't know how happy you are. Like maybe you wake up like I do and you're just stoked out of your mind. Today was particularly exciting, and I don't know why. I do know why. I shouldn't say that. Today was particularly exciting because of the way I prepared. And that's a really important point, because if you want to change the game, find the levers in your life that change it. Are you hearing me? Find the levers in your life that change your game, that make you a more effective competitor. You can make, and the competitor isn't with others, it's with yourself and with your goals. If you're an Olympian, and this goes for anything, but we'll talk about Olympians because it just happened. If you're an Olympian and you find a particular stretch or warm-up that makes you perform better, you're going to do it. If you're a vocalist and you find a particular warm-up that serves you well and makes you perform better, you're going to do it. Okay? The same for any sport or performance of any kind. If you find a particular ritual that gets you good at selling real estate, closing deals, you're going to do it, right? If you want to change the game, find the rituals that prepare you best for your day. Because your life just is a row of days at a time. right? One day at a time. You don't have tomorrow and you don't have yesterday. Maybe you learned some stuff from yesterday, or maybe you're carrying some bruises from yesterday. Maybe you're worried about something that's coming tomorrow, but you don't need to be. The best you can do for that is do good today. Will be the best way you can prepare for tomorrow. Do good today. Prepare well today. Execute well today. Now, I've spent, I don't know how many episodes talking about morning rituals, morning routines. I've broken it down into little pieces. I've told you what I do. I've told you what others do. The 5 a.m. Miracle is a book written about it. Stealing Fire is a book that Stephen Kotler wrote about learning to get into flow. I have a book coming called Masterpiece, which is about creating flow. The key is you have to do the activities. It doesn't create itself. Like you may accidentally get into flow here and there because of external circumstances. That happens. But how much more powerful are you if you create flow on purpose? What? Yeah, if you create a state of flow on purpose, you're so much more effective. If you're in that alpha state of relaxed proficiency, of relaxed excellence, where time slows down and you can just do the thing you meant to do, like perfect, every time. You know how fun that is. Well, did you know you can do that on purpose? Hello, you own that. It's a state in your body and mind. You own that. You own that. What most people never do is figure out how to do it. You know, you can figure that out and you can have it. Now, I saw the final of the basketball in the Olympics, and Stephen Curry of the Warriors was on the team, and this was his first Olympics. He couldn't play in others. And he's maybe the best pure shooter the game has ever seen. He's blinding when he is in that state of flow. And he was for the fourth quarter of that game. He could not miss. And one of the shots, 3-pointers from quite far out, was hotly contested with two opponents in his face, and he threw it over him, swish. And then as he walked away, he did this, which means I can do it in my sleeping, and some other players did that too, meaning unconscious, just absolute magic. Well, that's the state of flow. Now, how does he get there? And then we'll talk about how you get there. Well, he gets there because of his insane competence and absolute confidence. Insane competence comes from infinite practice. Infinite practice, fundamentals, how to stand, how to use your legs, how to get into the shot, how to follow through. One of the commentators said his eyes never left the rim. His body is wherever it is, but his eyes are on the rim. I didn't notice that, but they did. So think about that. His insane competence didn't come by accident. If you want to access the state of flow on demand on a regular basis, insane competence is the ante to that game. Now, here's the good news. No one can keep you from developing insane competence at your endeavor. Writing, speaking, podcasting, creating products, making money, selling real estate, doing the job you have, being a mom, being a dad, being a human being, loving, learning, listening. Whatever the endeavor, you alone control how good you are at a thing. You can get good at things that aren't very helpful, like entitlement. You can get good at being a victim mindset. You can get good at an addiction to mediocrity. You can get good at learned helplessness. Those aren't very useful. They're not very personally satisfying as you do things, and they don't produce very good results. In fact, they produce negative results. So you can get good at anything you practice. And, I have a client who says practice makes perfect, and he corrects it and says good practice or perfect practice makes perfect. So if I'm at the piano and I'm practicing and I practice with mistakes all the time and just keep slopping over stuff, the practice won't serve me. Same thing with Stephen. Why do I keep calling him Seth? Stephen Curry and his basketball shots. If he practiced crappy, it wouldn't work. He's got to practice correctly. So you want to change the game? There's 3 things we're going to talk about today. The first is your level of competence. Your level of competence has to be high. So get good. Get good at what you do. And the way I say that is love yourself enough to get great at what you do. If you allow yourself to be crappy at what you do, it's a clear set of pointers that you don't love yourself. You don't love yourself enough to get good at what you do, and you certainly don't love those people you serve enough to get good at what you do. So this is not an indictment. It's just a piece of information. Examine what it is that's keeping you from practice, from work, from getting coaching, from getting help, from getting good at the fundamentals and at the more advanced things. As I developed being a writer, I did all kinds of things to get better. As I developed as a coach, I did all kinds of things to get better. All of those included getting coaching. As I developed everything that I know how to do as a vocalist, I've been a student of an A-list vocal coach for 10 years. Why would I do that? Well, I want to get good. I want to be insanely competent. Now, the second part of that phrase is absolutely confident. Well, confidence is a choice. People think confidence comes from success. No, it doesn't. Confidence does not come from success. It comes from being prepared and from taking consistent action and having your good mindsets. One of the things Stephen Curry said was when he goes in a slump of shooting, when he doesn't have that edge, he keeps on shooting because his competence will rise to the surface and he'll get back in that place. He knows that. And he's demonstrated it over and over again. During one of the quarters of the game, he wasn't hot. He got so hot in the fourth quarter, he was invincible. There was no stopping him. Okay. And I realize he's a unique person, but so are you. So what? So one way to change the game, insane competence, absolute confidence. The second way to change the game is how much you believe in yourself, like your beliefs. If you walk around with a set of beliefs that says, I suck at this, I've never done it before, I failed before, it won't work, my friends and family, they're telling me no, they're asking me what I'm thinking about doing this, you suck that in and you believe it. And so every time you try to do something, it's with that knot in your stomach and with that voice in your head that says you suck, you'll never make it. See, I told you so. If that is the dialogue of your life, you're dead. You're dead. You're never going to change the game. You're going to repeat that losing fourth quarter, third quarter, total game. Well, done with the sports analogy, failed sales call, failed conversation with your teenager, failed repair attempt with your spouse. You're going to fail and fail and fail because you believe you're going to. You're telling yourself the stories of failure. You need coaching. Maybe you have a mental illness. I struggled with depression for decades. And get the help you need. Get the help you need. If you notice yourself stuck in a recurring cycle of fear, procrastination, self-sabotage, anxiety, depression, lack of motivation, get help. Go talk to someone. Be open, be honest, spill the beans, vomit the truth on the floor, and then shut up and listen. I didn't do that for decades. I had a belief that everything that was wrong in my life was my fault, which is not true for me or you. And I had a belief that I was the only one that had to suck it up. Now, both of those are partly true. We do create our lives, and we are responsible for change. But in both instances, good help is required. You don't break your leg with a compound fracture and a bone sticking out and not seek medical attention from a professional who's going to take the action needed to get your bones set, a cast on, and whatever else needs to happen to get it rolling. You just don't do that. Why do we do that with our spirit or our minds? We're busted and we think, well, I'm supposed to just suck this up and do it. Screw everybody else. You're dead. You're finished. Why would you do that? Even if you were to somehow eventually get there yourself, it is the painful and slow way in the universe, and it prevents you from changing the game. And the only reason I said this episode was how to change the game, was because I assume you're interested in changing the game in your favor. I assume you're interested in getting better results, winning more often, winning all the time, being happy all the time, changing the game so that you feel in control, focused, happy, on target, and creating a life you want. Like, why wouldn't you want that game? Well, of course you do. All right. So if you find yourself stuck, if you find yourself making excuses, like as a coach, I deal with hundreds of clients, right? And I hear patterns of conversation repeated. I got stuck. I got overwhelmed. Life intervened and I just didn't have time. Life got in the way. I had a bunch of self-doubt. All of those things are absolutely normal and life's full of them. Your life and my life. The difference between those who win, change the game, and score big with money and happiness are those that get the help they need. Now, here's the trick about getting help. It has to be the right help, and you have to be willing to do the work. If I go to the doctor for a condition and he tells me, take this medication, change this about your diet, and do this and that, and I say, screw you, doc, you don't know what you're talking about, I don't take the meds and I don't change my diet, I can't be surprised when I get more busted, right? If I go to a coach, my vocal coach, and he tells me, do this, practice this way, think this, do this, and I don't do it, I can't be surprised if I don't improve. One of the things that was true for me there was in the beginning years, I was obsessed about how I sounded. I had a story in my mind about how I wanted my voice to sound, my ability to emote and express and that sort of thing. And so I was always focused on that. And finally, he told me and had to tell me several times, look, stop worrying about how you sound. Sound stupid, sound wrong, sound awful, sound yucky. Just do this thing over and over again. And it worked and it was right. And eventually I got everything I wanted. But I had to be willing to follow direction and, do the personal development push-ups. And in that case, vocal development. So go get good coaching. And if a problem's serious, go get good medical or psychological help. But go get good coaching and then follow the direction. I see it over and over again when I have clients who take to heart what I reflect to them as a coach and they go bust their ass and do it. Wow, they make wild progress. When I have clients that make up excuses, don't find time, well, I don't know if I want to, that won't work or whatever, they don't make progress. Duh. Imagine an Olympic athlete, right? Okay, you got to get good help and then follow the direction. The last thing I want to talk about today is your vision. Talked a little bit about that in the last episode. If you want to change the game, you got to know what you're trying to do. Like if you're playing Monopoly, you want to have the most money and everybody else goes bankrupt, right? If you're playing the game of ultimate life, there are certain things you want to get rid of and certain things you want to have. Well, in order to do that, you got to have a crystal clear vision of where you want to go. I have a crystal clear vision of a particular house on a particular piece of land with a particular outbuilding of particular sizes for particular reasons. All of this expressly and specifically outlined in my mind. The goal is clear. And that's just one little piece of it. And every piece of that, where it is, what it looks like, how big it is, what the outbuilding's for, every single thing has a purpose and is tied exactly to my mission to help 250 million people discover who they really are, eliminate learned helplessness, get rid of victim mindset, addiction to mediocrity and entitlement, getting rid of those barriers that are in my way and your way of achieving the wealth you deserve and the happiness you want and deserve. So I've given one example of a particular house. Now, I'm thrilled out of my mind where I live right now. It's big. I've got 3 studios downstairs, and it's perfect. It's in Edmonton, and it's colder there than I want to be. And Joy and I have decided we're going to move over to Vancouver Island. I've said that several times. It was going to be this summer and then the summer before. And, it wasn't urgent. So things happened that made us choose to wait another year. So next summer or before, we're going to move. And as part of that, I'm picking out exactly where we want to be. And so is joy. We're doing that together. So that is just one little piece. If you're thinking about your business, exactly how much money are you making? Okay, it's easy to say some big honking number if that's what you want. You got to go further. Who's going to give it to you? What products and services are you selling to who, and why will they pay that? In other words, you have to have a good idea of the value your service or product is providing. And you have to be able to say it in a single sentence. This is what I provide. This is what they get. This is what it does. And of course, they'll be thrilled out of their mind to pay X for that Y. If you can't do that, you're not going to get there. Not going to happen. If you sell real estate or if you provide other consulting services, you got to answer the question, why you? Why not somebody else? What is your power? And you got to know it inside out, upside down, and backwards. And it has to leak out of your eyes and your ears and your mouth and your skin like sweat on a hot day in Phoenix. It just has to be part of who you are. And that clarity, what I find is people tell me goals all the time. When I get done, I actually don't know what they're talking about. They want to make more money. They want to have $10 million or whatever. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that goal. Who's going to give you that? What group of people will pour that money on you? Be thrilled to rip out their wallets and credit cards and pour it on you. What group? And why will they do that? Those are tough questions. People shy away. They hide. They don't want to answer them. They're scared to death. And that is this confidence and competence we talked about in number 1. But you have to be able to articulate your clear goals. Clear goals in order to do that. So here's a challenge for you. Take a piece of paper, do it on paper, and I want you to actually write it because there's visceral stuff that goes on in writing that's way different than typing it in a computer. Put it in a computer later if you want. But I want you to write it. Draw pictures if you need to. Exactly your goals. Physical goals, monetary goals, dwelling goals, automobile goals, relationship goals with your partner or with kids or with family or with others or with a community. Impact goals. Who are you serving and how? And it better be a big number. You're a divine being with limitless power. So if you're saying I'm going to help 50 people, you're way underestimating your power and value. Why would you do that? That's not the ultimate life. At least I'm not going to judge, but it doesn't seem like it to me. My target of 250 million this year is just the beginning. Goals have to be crystal clear. And then there's one more piece about this goal thing. You have to visit them all the time. That's why people tell you to create vision boards and mind movies and stuff. If your mind isn't regularly touching, embracing, swimming in, marinating in, chewing the words and the goals, it won't activate your subconscious and get you to take the action. Okay, people put up pictures of someone they want to look like or themselves. With AI, you can do that. Take yourself and take off 50 pounds. Or your bank account with a certain amount of money in it, or your product sales, or your relationship. Your partner says or does this, and you say or do that. All those things are good and helpful, but they only do jack if you use them every day. You visit your goals, you speak them, you live in them. They become part of you. They bring you goosebumps. They make your hair stand up. Whoops, my hair's already standing up. If they don't do that, they're not powerful goals. They're not going to motivate, move you, and they're certainly not going to cause those unseen forces to take action on your behalf. Yeah, unseen forces. You've all heard about it. And it's true. Many, many authors have written about it. The Walden Pond guy said, I have learned one thing by my experiment, that when one sets out to live the life he endeavors to live, he passes a threshold. Unseen forces. Heaven moves to his aid. In other words, good crap happens to you. Things move in line. And that is because of your intention and your focus. So you have the power to change the game in your favor. You have the power to tilt the table toward you. You have the power to operate eternal and unseen forces to create what you want. You need a clear vision, and it needs to be articulated so powerfully it makes you weep. It makes you jump up and down. It gives you goosebumps every time you say it, and that needs to be every day, maybe 10 times a day, because it changes you when you do that. The next thing is you need to get that competence and confidence. Spend the time and effort required to be good at what you do. And good isn't just the product or service. It's the marketing. It's the delivery. It is talking about it. Like people say, well, I'm really great at what I do, but I suck at marketing. Then you're not great at what you do. No, you're not. You're not great at what you do, because if you were, you wouldn't have any problem helping people understand how they will be better with your product or service. That doesn't mean be salesy and preachy. It means listen and then match. I hear this and this and this. Would this help you? That then marketing is like breathing. It's easy. And the other thing we talked about a lot today is get the help you need. Oh, I can't afford a good coach. Bullshit. You want to stumble along? What's the opportunity cost of not investing? You are the most important asset. You are the thing that needs the most investment. Me for me, you for you. Go do whatever it takes to get good coaching. It was a pivotal thing for me. It will be for you. If you say, well, I can't afford this, I'm only going to hire, as cheap a coach as I can, you're dead. Stretch, reach, trust, and believe in yourself, and get the kind of help you need. You can change the game. Clean out the negative stuff, the entitlement stuff and the learned helplessness and addiction to mediocrity and victim mindset, all that, get rid of it. You're divine. You're capable. Let's see the magic and the results of your awesomeness. I can't wait. I invite you to reach out and connect. I'd love to talk to you. I invite you to go to www.yourultimatelife.ca and get the 5 master keys to creating your ultimate life. But whatever you do, get on the road, make changes today, and create your ultimate life.
Open your heart and this time around, stand.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope that you take it deeply into your heart and decide for yourself how you can create anything you desire. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback and topic suggestions. Until tomorrow, this is Your Ultimate Life with host Kellan Fluckiger.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet on